Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. 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 26th through 28th verse, we will chant together. Yato yato nischarati manaschancalamassthiram tatastato niyam yaitate atmanyeva vasham nayet prashantamanasam hyenam yoginam sukhamuttamam upaiti shantarajasam brahmabhutamakalmasham yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi niyatamahmashah sukhena brahma samsparsham atyantam sukhamashnute. In these verses, Bhagavan is pointing out how to control this mind which is very turbulent. A solution which is generally unheard of, but very, very effective and very powerful. Bhagavan said, the first way of controlling the mind is Yathartha Nirupanam. Yathartha Nirupanam means wherever this mind is going, to understand the substratum or the falsity of that thing. Yathartha Nirupanam means that Yatha Artha, whatever is the nature of that thing, understanding it as it is. Here, there is no emphasis on seeing defects in that thing. That was the previous stage where the solution of Vairagya was pointed out by seeing some limitations in sense objects. It has been 2 weekends before. So this is verse number 24. That's what I am referring to. What did Bhagavan say there? If somebody has to withdraw the mind, then sankalpa prabhavan kaman tyaktva sarvan asheshatah. One has to let go of all sankalpas. How will we let go of sankalpas? By doing yathartha darshanam and anartha chintanam. What was yathartha darshanam? Seeing limitations in that object, not seeing only the attractive side of that object. Pratipaksha bhavana, seeing the other side also, whatever that object might be. That's why whatever we covered in Bhajagovindam will be helpful for all these pointers. What did Bhajagovindam do for us? It just pointed out another side of things, of different facets in life. Of name and fame, of wealth, of relations. All these things, if I have to maintain healthy relationship with them, then I have to appreciate different facets of that particular object. So this was one solution. Yathartha darshanam and anartha chintanam, thinking about consequences. Where is this thing going to lead me further? With that, Bhagavan said, remove all the sankalpas, don't entertain any erroneous ideas about objects in this world. Now comes the next stage where he is telling, wherever the mind goes, if you have done thorough Shravanam, what have I heard in Shravanam? Other than Brahma, everything is an appearance. There is only one non-dual truth. Non-dual itself implies other than that truth, there is nothing else which is existing. That is called as Yathartha Nirupanam. Ascertaining the nature of a thing as it is, that is called as Yathartha Nirupanam. Now once a thing has been established as false, he says one should have vairagya towards that false entity. Now just by hearing that everything is false, this understanding doesn't get rooted. So this is where we had seen two techniques. One was called as Laya Prakriya, dissolving the elements. Whichever object is there, that object is nothing but 5 elements. Where did those 5 elements come from? It came from Maya. This BMI chart is also helpful over here. What we are trying to do is dissolve all of this BMI into Maya. V stands for Vasanas, but you can also replace it by, it's also synonymous with Avidya, ignorance or Maya, from which this whole universe has emerged. What we are seeing as names and forms, what we are calling as thoughts, what we are calling as emotions, all of them are product of Maya. So through this Laya Prakriya, Laya means dissolution. Step by step he is dissolving. Objects he has dissolved into 5 elements. 5 elements he has dissolved into Maya. And Maya is an appearance in consciousness. In that way, wherever his mind is going, to whichever object, whichever thought, he is able to bring it back to consciousness. Many of you have studied Tattva Bodha, right? Have you heard of Tattva Bodha? Do you remember the creation process that was described there? From Brahma with Maya, 5 elements emerged. Then from the sattvic aspect of 5 elements, each sattvic aspect, Jnanendriyas emerged. Rajasika aspect, Karmendriyas emerged, and so on. Panchikaranam happened. After that, gross world emerged. All this process was given there, right? What do you think was the purpose of this description? Our mind will not accept directly if it is said, everything is consciousness. So then they give us step by step explanation how from that consciousness this world has emerged. Wherever you see creation process, that is the main purpose. Now what do we do with this? Okay, I know now from consciousness world has emerged. He says whenever you see world, shift attention to consciousness. Because consciousness is non-changing and eternal, whatever emerges from such an entity has to be only an appearance. If consciousness were to become a real cause of it, then it would undergo some modification. The classic example is milk changing into yogurt. You cannot get the milk back. Once it changes, the cause has undergone modification. What is the cause of yogurt? Milk. But that milk has really undergone modification. You cannot get that milk back. When rope appears to be snake, rope has not undergone any modification. That is why when you negate the snake, what we get is that rope. This is actually talking about our nature. All these examples, what is it leading up to? Our essential nature of consciousness, our essential nature as consciousness remains unchanged. No matter which thought comes, no matter which thought goes, no matter which experience comes, which experience goes, our essential nature as Chaitanya remains untouched by all these modifications. But Bhagavan here is telling us, Arjuna, our mind will again and again go towards objects. And don't struggle with your mind and just try to pull it without some technique. The technique of pulling the mind back is first to understand limitations in those objects, and second stage is to understand falsity of those objects. Okay, more questions if you have, we can discuss, but I'll move on for now. Then he said, Prashanta manasam hyenam yoginam sukham uttamam. The one who is having prashanta manas, calm mind, peaceful mind, his mind has identified with Atma. He attains supreme most bliss. Bliss without any object, without any other, what can you say? It is unadulterated sukham. Ghee you get, right? Unadulterated ghee, without any kind of other things added. Like that, the sukham doesn't have any objects. From Atma, he is experiencing that sukham in his mind. Upayati shanta rajasam brahma bhutam akalmasham. The deep-rooted rajas which is there, which pushes him out from the seat of meditation, that is cleansed by this meditation. Like this, when he keeps doing it, next verse said, Sukhena brahma samsparsham atyantam sukhamashnute. His connection with Brahman becomes very, very easy and straightforward. Somebody's phone is ringing, huh? Okay, that's okay, they'll take care. Now there was one question, that Sankalpa word came, right, in 24th verse. Sankalpa prabhavan kaman tyaktvan sarvan asheshatah. He said, then what about the Sankalpas that we are doing? We have Sankalpa for Pujanam. When we start with Sankalpa. Shubhe Shobhane Muhurte. All of that is Sankalpa. If you have some good work, you say, this is Sankalpa for that work. And what does Bhagavan say here? Sankalpa prabhavan kaman tyaktva sarvan asheshatah. Here we should remember there are two types of Sankalpas. One is called as Shubha Sankalpa, other is called as Ashubha Sankalpa. Ashubha Sankalpa means erroneous resolves. Mind keeps making them without asking us. Ashubha Sankalpa, mind doesn't even ask. It just makes it. Before we know, it has already done it. Only after we act upon that Sankalpa, we realize, oh, this is where it started. Action came much later. The Sankalpa happened long time back. While we are interacting in the world, constantly there are impressions being formed, and those impressions are leading us to Sankalpa. The only way to remove that Sankalpa is by entertaining Shubha Sankalpa. There is no other way. Mind needs to hold on to something. If you don't allow it to hold on to Ashubha Sankalpa, unless we give some Shubha Sankalpa, it will not hold on to something. It will not come out of Ashubha Sankalpa. In Shubha Sankalpa, everything is included. Pujanam is included. Desire to go to a pilgrimage place. Which Sankalpa is that? Shubha Sankalpa. Only when you make a resolve can we actually go there. Right? We'll take the concrete steps of going there only when there is a resolve. Sankalpa to meditate every day. Shubha Sankalpa. Sankalpa to feel that I should increase my devotional practice. All of that is Shubha Sankalpa. Yajna, Dana, Tapa. Three things fall under Shubha Sankalpa. Yajna means doing things for greater good. Dana means charity. And Tapa means austerity that we take upon ourselves to grow spiritually. All of them are Shubha Sankalpas. What will they do? They will remove all Ashubha Sankalpas from our life. Okay. Now Bhagavan is leading us to another topic, very, very important topic in Advaita Vedanta. He is going to say that this technique of meditation, the culmination of that will be in understanding and abidance in MahaVakya. culmination of meditation practice will be in abidance in MahaVakya. But the beauty of Bhagavad Gita is, it will not be said explicitly. Bhagavan Krishna, unlike in other Prakarana Granthas, Tattva Bodha, Vedanta Sara, separate topic will be given. Okay, now we are discussing MahaVakya and they will describe. Bhagavan Krishna expects us to find out where these topics are coming. He will not explicitly say. But before we go there, what is MahaVakya? Something you can say. Aham Brahmasmi Tattvamasi. That is MahaVakya itself. But what does MahaVakya do? Yes. Statement which reveals identity of individual with total. Statement which points out identity between Jiva and Shiva. Jiva means individual, Shiva means Bhagavan. This is the uniqueness of Advaita Vedanta in the way that it points out this identity. How does it point it out? First description will be about Tvam Pada. Tvam Pada means who am I? They will introduce us to mind, introduce us to intellect, and then they will say there is something called as witness of mind, witness of intellect. Body also they will introduce us, Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya, all other koshas. We will not go into too much of technicalities, but if you have studied other texts, it's easy to connect. Means discussion about me, myself. That discussion is called as Tvam Pada Vichara. If you want English word, thinking about microcosm. Microcosm means individual, my body, my mind, intellect. The point of describing them is to tell us this is not who you are. If I inquire into who am I should reach consciousness. Now this is an important point. When consciousness is pointed out from individual conditionings, through individual conditionings, that consciousness is called as Sakshi or Atma. Okay? Consciousness pointed out from individual standpoint is called as Sakshi or Atma. Why Sakshi? It's a witness of thoughts. Now thought is from individual standpoint. My thought. That consciousness is witnessing my thought. So if I have done Tvam Pada Vichara thoroughly, if I have inquired into myself, what I should understand is, these are all my conditionings, body, mind and intellect, and my essential nature is consciousness. When I say I, that I should not land on body, I should not land on mind, I should not land on intellect. I landing on body means I am tall, I am short. I landing on mind means I am disturbed. Mind is disturbed, but this I which really belongs to consciousness has identified with mind. I did not get what you said. That is identification with intellect. Intellect is the one who listens, intellect is the one who understands. Tvam Pada Vichara tells us that this is not who I am. Not the body, not the mind, not the intellect. I am that consciousness. Second part is called as Tatpada Vichara. Tatpada Vichara means inquiry into macrocosm. Inquiry into macrocosm. Macrocosm means how did this universe come about? What I am calling as world, what is the cause or the essential nature of this world? Just like essential nature of myself is consciousness, not the apparent conditionings that I am seeing, this world of names and forms also what is the essential nature of this world. That when we inquire into, Vedanta will come to tell us the essential nature of this world is Brahma. This is why the creation process is helpful. From Brahman alone, this whole universe has emerged. From Brahman alone, this whole universe has emerged. So that truth pointed out from totality standpoint. That same consciousness gets the name Brahman. Consciousness gets the name Brahman. Now MahaVakya comes and tells us that what you discovered as Atma by doing Tvam Pada Vichara, it is the same consciousness which is the substratum of whole universe. There are not two consciousnesses. That one is substratum of universe, another is substratum of Jiva. One is witness of thought, another is substratum of universe. They are not two different things. It is one and the same. That is MahaVakya. That is the identity revealing statement. So now instead of saying Brahman is the cause of universe, Brahman is a substratum of universe, one who has understood MahaVakya, what will he say? I am the substratum of universe. I am substratum of universe. But when he says I, his I doesn't land on body, mind, intellect. I lands on pure consciousness. From consciousness standpoint, he makes this statement, this whole universe is an appearance not in Atma, not in Brahma, but in me. Because I am that Atma, I am Brahman. That is MahaVakya which leads us to this point. You let go of the conditionings. What remains after letting go of conditionings is that truth. The classic example for MahaVakya, example, don't take it literally. There is one boy, his name is Devadatta. Okay? He went to school with you, young boy. You know him as this young Devadatta. Then you went your way, he went his way. 30 years later you meet same Devadatta. He is with his family now, has a beard, has a mustache. Totally different. And you are talking to him as though he is somebody else. You don't know who he is. Then in and through that conversation, you come to know his name is Devadatta, who was your friend 30 years back. Now how will you understand? How will you reconcile in your mind? How come he is Devadatta? I saw him as this little boy, looking totally different. Now I am seeing him as this young man, looking totally different. But in my mind, I will let go of the difference part. I will let go of the mustache part. I will let go of his beard part. That person who is Devadatta is the same one whom I knew 30 years before. By letting go of conditionings, the essential substratum is held on to. Through that we can establish identity. Like that, when you look at world, it looks like Devadatta 30 years after. And you look at individual, it is like Devadatta 5 years old. And what is Vedanta telling us? This Jiva is nothing but totality. Okay, there is one more point here. Consciousness plus individual conditioning is called as Jiva. Jiva means our name, We are not talking about some Jiva. I myself am called as Jiva when I identify with conditionings. Consciousness plus conditionings is Jiva. Microcosm. Consciousness plus macrocosm conditioning is Bhagavan. Consciousness plus macrocosm conditioning is Bhagavan. Individual Sharira is limited to this physical body. What is Bhagavan Sharira? This whole universe. This whole universe is Bhagavan's Sharira. Our individual mind is limited to thoughts, whatever things are going on inside. What is Bhagavan's mind? Hiranyagarbha, total mind. So microcosm and macrocosm, at conditioning level, there is a lot of difference. My body, individual body, and total universe body, there will be difference. Just like in Devadatta, conditioning standpoint, there is difference. Beard wise, there is difference. Mustache wise, there is different. Age wise, there is difference. But what is same? The substratum in the midst of all the conditionings, that is same. That person called as Devadatta, that individual called as Devadatta, he is the same one whom I knew 30 years before. Here also, conditionings are very different. Microcosm and macrocosm. But as far as consciousness is concerned, it is the same truth appearing in two different ways. You look at it through the lens of individual, it becomes Jiva. You look at it from the lens of total, it becomes Ishvara. Okay, with this much introduction, let us see what Bhagavan says. Whatever Bhagavan is going to say, same thing we have summarized, nothing different. Sarva bhutasthamatmanam Sarva bhutani chatmani Ikshate yoga yuktatma Sarvatra samadarshanaha Sarvabhutasthamatmanam Sarvabhutani chatmani Ikshate yoga yuktatma Sarvatra samadarshanaha. This verse is talking about Tvam pada Vichara. Tvam pada Vichara means inquiry into microcosm. One who has done it. What is his final understanding? Sarvabhutastham atmanam Ikshate. He sees all beings in Atma. Whatever beings are there, all these objects which are known through thoughts, he says all of that is an appearance in Atma. Sarva bhutastham atmanam means in every being he sees that same self present in all beings. Sarva bhutani cha atmani. At the same time, all beings he sees in Atma. If you just take the first quarter, you know what would happen? All beings are real. In every being there is one glowing light called as Atma. That misunderstanding can come. To remove that understanding, the second part is there. Sarva bhutani cha atmani. All beings are an appearance in Atma. Not that beings are there and in that you are seeing some Atma inside. Generally that is our idea. Beings are real. In those beings we are trying to search consciousness. So what has become our substratum? Body has become substratum. And what is the supported thing? Consciousness is supported. Like how you have a vessel, in that vessel you put water. What is the support? What is substratum? Vessel. What is being supported in that vessel? Water. Like that we feel body is the substratum. In that body there is consciousness which is getting supported. To remove that notion, the second part has come, Sarva Bhutani cha Atmani. He says all these bhutas which are there, all beings, they are an appearance in Atma. If you want an example of this, look at dream example. Dream example, Sarva Bhutastham Atmanam. In every object of that dream, it is a waking mind alone which pervades all the mountains, all the people in the dream. Every aspect, every single thing we see in dream is pervaded by waking mind. And where is that whole dream world appearing? In waking mind only. It is not that there are few things in dream and in that you are trying to seek waking mind. Whole thing is an appearance in waking mind. If this example is subtle, take example from Dakshinamurti Stotram. Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam nijantaragatam pashyan atmani mayaya bahirivod bhutam yatha nidraya. Nidra, even there also has come. Same example. But you see, what Shankaracharya is pointing out there is Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari. If you are driving in a car, all the things which are behind are showing up in that mirror. Things are actually there, but it is appearing in a place where it is not. Things are behind you, but it is appearing in a place where it is not. Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam. Like that, he says this world is actually appearing in Atma, but it appears to be outside. Pashyan atmani mayaya bahirivod bhutam yatha nidraya. It is actually an appearance in consciousness, but because of Maya, it appears to be outside. Okay, that is this line, Sarva bhutastam atmanam. Sarva bhutani cha atmani ikshate yoga yuktatma. Yoga yuktatma means one whose mind has been purified through yoga. One whose mind is very, very subtle, purified through yoga. That is this person, yoga yuktatma. Sarvatra samadarshanaha. Sarvatra means in all drishya, in whatever is seen, there he is able to recognize this consciousness. Sarvatra samadarshanaha. You know what happens sometimes is, examples are easy to appreciate. But the technical concept, it needs lot of reiteration. If I share some examples, you'll say, I got it. You want to try? Water and wave. Sarva bhutastam atmanam. In every wave, there is water. Sarva bhutani cha atmani. All waves are appearing in water. See how simple? In the same way, in place of waves, put all bhutas, all beings. In every being, recognizing consciousness. But all beings are an appearance in consciousness. The substratum is consciousness, substratum is Atma, and all beings are appearing over there. Another classic example is ornaments and gold. In every ornament, recognizing gold and understanding that all names and forms of ornaments are nothing but superimposition in gold. So that gold is representing Atma. Okay. Next one is Tatpada Vichara. Thinking about God, thinking about macrocosm. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. Now Bhagavan Krishna is talking, right? God himself is talking. He says, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra. The one who sees me everywhere. And sarvam cha mayi pashyati. Sees everything in me. One who sees that Brahma everywhere and sees everything in Brahman. Whenever consciousness is pointed out from totality standpoint, that consciousness is called Brahma. Totality means that which is infinite. MahaVakya will say, what you understood as Atma, that same thing is Brahma. That is the next verse. This verse is only talking about Tatpada Vichara. Tatpada Vichara, he says, Yo Mam Pashyati Sarvatra, one who sees God everywhere, one who sees everything in God. What happens to him? Tasyaham na pranashyami. For that person, I am never far away from him. Jnani is the one who is always connected with God, because he is understood as his inner self. Understood God as his inner self, he never makes God as something different from him. Tasya aham na pranashyami, sacha me na pranashyati. Bhagavan adds the later part. I am never lost for him. He is also under my watchful eyes all the time. Sacha me na pranashyati. He never goes away from my vision also. The only reason why somebody would shift attention away from God is because of our ahankara. Whenever ahankara comes, it will make us see somewhere else. And Bhagwan is always present as consciousness, always walking with us at every step. But he is an ignored friend. Bhagavatam, this word is used, avidnyata sakha. Sakha means friend, avidnyata means whom you are not paying attention to, as though he is not there. Like that, this consciousness is always present, but not noticed. So this person has understood Tatpada also. He says this creation is an appearance in consciousness, which is Brahma. Now the next verse is Aikya, the oneness between both. Sarva bhuta sthitam yo mam bhajatyekatvamasthitah sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Sarva bhuta sthitam yo mam bhajatyekatvamasthitah sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Now comes MahaVakya. Sarva bhuta sthitam yo mam. Previously, what was his understanding? Sarva bhutastham atmanam. Now that Atma word is replaced with God. Sarva bhuta sthitam yo mam. And bhajati ekatvam astitah. One who has understood that oneness, that whatever is substratum of microcosm, that consciousness or Atma is the substratum of whole universe. One who has understood that, sarvatha vartamanopi. Whatever he might be doing according to his prarabdha, whatever actions he might be doing in his life, saha yogi mai vartate. He comes to abide in me only. He comes to abide in that consciousness. He never gets carried away with samsara. One who has understood Tvampada, one who has understood Tatpada, and the oneness between both, that yogi abides in the self. Sarvatha vartamanopi, let him do whatever he wants. But his knowledge will not get affected by action. Because in his mind he has repeated this so many times, what is the truth and what is ephemeral. And he has understood this world that he is interacting with is nothing but the same truth. This In other words, sometimes they give titles, inclusive knowledge. Inclusive knowledge means what? That knowledge which does not exclude anybody. Just like in my individual body, no part of my body I feel is not me. If he has understood himself to be this whole universe, he does not exclude anybody in this universe. Mentally speaking, he will not exclude anybody from his own mind. This part you see in many Mahatmas, how carefree their life is. I read one nice anecdote. There was one brahmachari, he was writing his memoirs. He said his guru, his seva was to clean his room every day. He had to go and clean his room. And one day when he was cleaning, he found a diary. It just fell from his table while he was cleaning. And in that diary, he saw his own name. His name was Sukadev. He saw his own name there. He said, why did my guru write my name in his diary? Then he just curious to see what it was. Go to see it was a to-do list. In that to-do list, he has written, scold Sukadev tomorrow. He was known to be a very, strict monk. Very disciplined, would scold people left and right. But he writes in his memoir, that is the day I realized how Jnani lives his life. For an ordinary person, that scolding is actually affecting him becoming angry. And for that Jnani, he has already made up his mind, tomorrow I have to scold him. Means it is a play for him. That is this line, Sarvatha Vartamanopi. Sayogi Mai Vartate. One who is abiding in that truth, nothing of this world becomes a priority. His role is as a teacher. So if he has to scold, he has to scold. But that scolding is not affecting his ahankara. These verses, it is not that, we just keep listening and we keep moving forward. We both have to walk together. So I will pause here. If there is any question on what we discussed so far, feel free to ask. I did this in other places for Kathopanishad also, and there was very good healthy discussion. And in that discussion we grow. Right? It is not about answering a question, but it's more about, have we understood this verse or not? Or are there some points which are still unclear? So don't hesitate. Think as though you are the only person sitting here. Don't worry if it's a basic question. Whatever we discussed so far, 29th, 30th, 31st verse. Yes. Yes. In that example of monk and the student, what is the mindset of the teacher that relates to the shloka? Here the shloka says, one who has understood the truth. Sarvatha vartamanaha api. Even though acting in several ways, doing his duties, whatever is demanded, saha yogi mai vartate. He is abiding in that consciousness alone. He is not getting worldly, in spite of engaging in the world. So for that monk who scolded, for him the duty that he is doing as a monk is a play. Because he is awakened to the truth, the one who is abiding in that truth, transactional life becomes just like a play. Whereas if somebody who doesn't have that support, then what is the only reality that he will hold on to? Transactional life. So Advaita Vedanta, this is said in Panchadashi, Jnani will get two ahams, two eyes. One is transactional eye, another is absolute eye. Abiding in absolute eye is transactional eye will keep doing all transactions. But just like a turtle can withdraw and go into its own Swarupa, Swarupa means it can just withdraw and be happy by itself. Like that, this jnani can withdraw from transactions and abide in his own essential nature. That is a connection. Sarvatha Vartamanopi. Anything else?
Jiva being the reflection of consciousness.
Yes.
But Jiva is real. I'm not able to understand. I mean, we're breathing. We are real. How can we think I am an abstract of the consciousness? I mean,
Do we have a mic? We can just, maybe this one, we can use it. I won't do justice rephrasing it. You have to hear.
So Jiva is an abstract of, reflection of consciousness. And Jiva is real. So I always thought consciousness is within us. And I do understand the substratum example, but I'm not able to, I feel Jiva is real. It has 5 senses. So how can I think it's a reflection?
The question Vedanta would ask is, hold on. Question Vedanta would ask is, how do we define real? In dream also I see many things, right? There are so many people walking in dream, talking in dream, breathing in dream. Just experience of something, can we call it real? No, because then dream also will become real. Right? So Vedanta's definition of real is that which does not get negated at any point of time. In Vedanta, definition of reality is not experiencing something. We say because it is experienced, it is unreal. That is the final conclusion. Huh? But if you just want a definition, what is Sat? Sat means real. That is where the word Satyam comes from. Satyam means truth. That which doesn't get negated at any point of time, that is called as truth. That is called as reality. Now, our body, mind, intellect, is there some time where it gets negated? Or is it there all the time? In our own experience, deep sleep. In deep sleep, the notion or concept of body is wiped off, concept of mind is wiped off, concept of intellect is wiped off. But am I wiped off? When I wake up, do I say, I was absent in deep sleep and now I am suddenly manifesting? Or do I feel I continued in deep sleep? I feel I continued, right? So that means what? What is coming and going is not me. So this body, mind and intellect is coming and going. In waking state it is there, dream state it is 50% there, deep sleep state it is wiped off. We wear glasses. If you are not alert, after some point you feel it's part of body. Right? Only when you take it out you realize, oh, this is not me. So what I can take out and keep is not my essential nature. So body, mind, intellect, I can exist without them. So that is not who I am. Then we say that body, mind, intellect, along with consciousness, that is called as Jiva. So that consciousness reflecting in mind enlivens this mind. Consciousness reflecting in ego, PFT, enlivens that ego. That ego identifies with body and in turn enlivens this body. Where is this said? Drik Drishya Viveka. First, consciousness reflects in ego. Part of it gets reflected in mind, part of it gets reflected in ahankara. That ahankara which is there identifies with body. And it enlivens the body. Okay? And until our karma sambandha is there, karma account is there, how long this ahankara identifies with body is decided by that. After this karma sambandha ends, another body is given. This ego will identify with that body. It could be Devata body, it could be any body. But what is our goal? To understand I am not reflection, I am the original. The moment we understand I am this and not this, ego is nothing but an appearance, all transmigration ends right there. This is Vedanta's understanding of Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti. Until I am asleep to this truth, and I think this alone is the reality, according to karma, I will go through situations. Sometimes good sharira, sometimes not good sharira, good experiences, not good experiences. Okay? Good. Isn't it helpful? Whatever different thoughts are there, we grow through these conversations. That's why it's not the matter of finishing the text or completing the chapter. You go to next chapter, same thing will be said. Right? If you don't get it here, if you don't push for it here, it will not, some new thing will not come. This side is very quiet. Anything from here? Yes. Then we'll come here. First here, then we'll come there.
So what I understand so far is that everything is ultimately a Bhagwan. Everything is ultimately a God.
Yes.
So I do, like later in previous verses, Krishna was telling Arjuna that, you have to fight the war because it's your duty as a Kshatriya. But now there's a verse that's saying ultimately everyone is Bhagwan. So
Yes.
how is he supposed to go forward with the war if everyone is Bhagwan and you wouldn't
Yes.
want to hurt something that is Bhagwan?
Yes, very good. So that is why that word Sarvatha Vartamana is important. 31st verse, what did it say? Sarvatha Vartamana. Vartamana means in spite of acting. In spite of acting, abiding in the truth, that is the teaching of Bhagavad Geeta. Whether I should act or not, that depends upon that person's dharma. How he should act, guidance will be given in values. But whether he acts or he chooses to sit quietly, based upon his dharma, in both cases, his abidance is in the same truth. So Vedanta knowledge will not interfere in dharma-adharma knowledge. Because that is happening based on transactional identity. He says, you are a warrior, it is your duty to go and fight. But that doesn't mean you should not know the truth. Truth will not change because your immediate situation demands certain things. Now you tell me what will happen to Arjuna after war is over? His sorrows will end for good?
No, definitely not.
Yes, that is the main point. Bhagavan says, situation by situation, if we are trying to solve, one situation will end, another situation will start. How to deal with situations, he gives guidance in values. 12th chapter, so many values he will give. Bhagavad Geeta we saw, Karma Yoga, that is a teaching for that. But he says, in and through that teaching, it should lead us to something permanent. In and through that teaching of how to deal with transactional life, it should lead us to absolute. This is the discussion of Kathopanishad actually today. Shreya and Preya. Preya means how do I get best situations in my life? Preya. Shreya means how do I get self-abidance? And our scriptures say both are two different goals. Both will lead us to two different places. We have to be very diligent in seeking Shreya. Situation should help me turn towards God. Situation should not become so overpowering that it keeps me busy and stops me from going towards God. Okay?
Okay.
He's not convinced. I'm just looking at the time, but we'll follow up on that.
Yeah, sure.
I know there was one more question there, but we'll come back.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand the example that you just gave about the Sukhdeva example.
Yeah.
And how does that relate to IKEA? I didn't really understand because the Guru knows that he's going to scold him tomorrow. So how does that relate to the concept?
No, don't stretch it too far. What the main point there is, everything becomes a play. Whatever duty has to be done is still done with due diligence, but not in a way where it is considered as absolutely real. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.